Welcome to DU Digimon.
Hello and welcome to DU Digimon and welcome to another deck profile. If you're liking this content, please make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel and ding that notification bell so you're not missing out on any of the latest content. Today we are looking at my build for BlackWarGreymon X in the current BT18 format, going into EX08 as well, because there really aren't any changes for it. I did say I was potentially going to do a Marsmon profile today to link in with Drank Tank the Champions last week, but I've been testing this so much recently, I felt like it was the better one to cover. But if you guys do want to see the Marsmon profile at some point, please do let me know in the comments below and I will get working on that. Anyways, BlackWarGreymon. I have always been a Greymon stan. I love Greymon. It's my favourite Digimon line in the entire canon. BlackWarGreymon being my absolute favourite Digimon, and I think it still can do a lot better than sometimes it's given credit for. It does have consistency issues, especially a little bit with the ratios I'm playing, which could be improved upon, but I like it the way it is at the moment. And in terms of a lot of other things, obviously it's going to be Greymon as an archetype will be getting some support in April with the BT21 and the new structure decks, but for the time being, this is what I have come up with. Starting off with our egg, and I've actually gone for the black ST15 Koromon that gives you 1000 DP when an attack target is switched. We are playing a somewhat aggressive but mostly control-oriented BlackWarGreymon list here, not an OTK list. So I figured that draw wasn't as needed, and I wanted to have a black egg because I wanted to experiment with one of the rookies in this, because obviously we've got some ways of being able to search them now. But this Koromon does work well. That extra 1000 DP doesn't sound like much, but it can do a lot of difference. Speaking of DP, we've got Agumon from BT14. This could digivolve on top of any Koromon, despite the fact it's just red, so it could digivolve on top of this Koromon absolutely fine. Start of main, it will if you've got tie out, you can digivolve into a Greymon free of charge, to get you really started, and also gives its Greymons and Omnimons a 2000 DP boost. Which is really nice. So this is going to be your main scramble target. Although to be fair, if you wanted to play the black scramble instead, because this is a mostly black list, then you absolutely could. But you'd probably want to swap this guy out for maybe the ST15 Agumon, or a myriad of other kind of black Agumons that you've got available for you. But I like this one because it does work really well with that scramble combo. Next is Agumon X from BT11. This is the reason we've got the black egg. 4 copies of this one. Reveal top 3, add 1 card with Greymon or X antibody in its name, and 1 black Tamer among them to the hand. So it can add any of our black Tamers. Really good. And then also has the inheritable effect of when this Digimon with Greymon or Omnimon in its name would be deleted or returned to your hand or deck by an effect by placing 1 X antibody from this Digimon's Digivolution cards at the bottom of its owner's deck, prevent this Digimon from leaving play. So you get a little bit of a protection effect there, an additional protection effect to stack on top of our other ones. This is now playable because of Garnet Memory Boost, so really nice to see it. Still technically the worst of the Agumon of the new X antibody searches, so it's technically worse than Gabumon X and the Gearmon X that's coming out in EX8, but it was the first of like the variant X antibodies or like additional X antibodies for those rookies, so that's to be said. But I think it often can be better than the red Agumon X, and I've wanted to have it in the list for so long, but it's been so awkward to play, and now we can, so really great to see it. And then we've also got, as an additional searcher, 4 copies of BT12 Agumon, reveals your top 4, adds a Greymon or Omnimon. We're not playing any Omnimons in this list, so it's only going to be adding your Greymons, and then adds 1 Tamer card with tie in its name. So it can't add one of your Tamers, but it can add your main Tamer, which is good, and then gives 1000 DPs to your Greymon as the inheritable. Then going into our Greymons, there is a flex spot with one of these, but I'll kind of get into that in a minute. We have the Greymon X. 3 copies of this one. Digivolves on top of any red Digimon. Obviously doesn't digivolve on top of the Agumon X, so you do have to be careful with that. You want to probably digivolve into one of your other Greymons first, but just has that protection effect of taking 2 of your sources out from your stack to survive a deletion or a bounce. So really good. And then we've also got 1 copy of the Greymon X from BT11. Obviously we have to only have 1 copy of it. Still would love to see this card come back to even if a semi-limit would be cool, maybe 2 copies, but only time will tell if we're going to get that. With new support coming later in the year, probably not. It's probably not coming back. Then we go into our non-X Greymons, and it's a bit more flexible with this. I'm currently going with 2 of the BT17, because I like the fact we can do some deletion stuff with this and some shenanigans with the Digivolving. So, like, you can Digivolve into this on top of one of your Agumons, Digivolve on top of that with an Agumon because it's called Koromon, or with an Agumon X, and then go from there, which is cool. And also it does allow you to play out your ties with the on-deletion effect. So, both the inheritable and its own on-deletion effect. So really cool, gives you DP boosts as well. Not bad at all. Obviously, just bearing in mind, because it is white, you want to make sure you get a Greymon X on top of it for the majority of your level 5s to Digivolve on top of it. You do have to bear that in mind. Then we've also got 2 copies of the Greymon from BT12. Has the same inheritable as its rookie counterpart, but also plays out a tie if you don't have one, which can be handy, and Digivolves on top of any Agumon in name, regardless of colour. Then we've also got the SD15 Greymon. This is a bit of a flex spot. The security effect will not really come up for you because it's only two copies. But I was playing the BT5 Greymon before, but the issue there was I found a lot of the time we couldn't Digivolve that on top of our Agumon X, which was an issue. You could take this out for the BT14 one, but gaining memory with the when attacking on that is harder. But you do get the 2000 DP inheritable, so you could potentially do that, and that can Digivolve on top of any Agumon in name. So that is something to bear in mind. You could also put the BT8 Greymon in this, the one that gives inheritable blocker, just in case you don't have a tie out, which I do find sometimes happens. So very much a flex spot. Obviously with Greymon, it's very much a toolbox deck, regardless of how you're playing it. If you're going more aggressive, if you're going more defensive, it's always a toolbox. So you've got a lot of stuff to balance with. So go with what you feel is right. This is currently working for me, but even saying that, I can find improvements, whilst we're talking about it, and think of, pros and cons to any particular Greymon that we might use. But currently, this one is working for me. That memory gain does come up. It's not a lot, but it does come up. So pretty cool. Then going into our level 5s, and this is another reason why you might want to go predominantly a red Greymon list, because of these ratios. We've got the Metal Greymon from BT12. This can Digivolve on top of any Greymons. This one's not an issue. Has the raid. When an attack target is switched, you play a black or red Tamer with a play cost of 4 or less without paying the cost, and you can get quite big, so that raid can come up. And also you have the piercing inheritable. We've then also got the BT11 Metal Greymon X. When Digivolving until the end of your opponent's turn, this Digimon can't have its DP reduced, and you can't be Digivolved, which can be really handy against certain decks. The DP reduction obviously can come up against stuff like 3 Grey Angels and stuff like, those some more yellow decks, and the Digivolve can come up when you're going up against more black decks, specifically against Lord Nightmon, because Lord Nightmon does some Digivolving once it goes into its X, so you can mitigate that. Obviously, they do have the collision in the alliance, so you're probably not getting big enough to defend against it, but in the case you can, being Digivolved would be a massive detriment. So the fact that you can ignore that potentially for a turn is not bad. Also, if you've got the Metal Greymon or the X antibody underneath, you can pop something 6,000 or less. The other main thing with this one, though, is the inheritable. When a Digimon becomes unsuspended during the opponent's turn, and that's any Digimon, doesn't have to be your Digimon, it can be their Digimon as well. If this Digimon has Greymon or Omnium in its name, trash the top card of your opponent's security stack. Really nice effect. Always like that. Just adds a little bit of a tick, like a tick damage to your opponent. Then we've also got the Metal Greymon Alteris mode as well. So this one can only Digivolve on top of red, which is where you've got to be careful, and where you might not want to have this Greymon in and swap it in for a red one instead. But it can Digivolve on top of a Metal Greymon for 0. Gives you a protection inheritable the same as the Greymon X's, the BT9 one, so I won't repeat that. And also when Digivolving, if you've got a Tamer in play, you delete a 5000 DP or less Digimon, so not too bad. Then going into our level 6s, we've got 2 of the BlackWarGreymon from BT8. This was the last time we had just a BlackWarGreymon printed. Bandai, fix this, please. My favourite Digimon, he needs more love. Thank you. X variants don't count. I need the original. There's my boy. But anyways, he's quite good in this current format because of the fact we've got so many hybrid decks again, and Tamer hate is very relevant. When Digivolving, if he's got a red source, you could delete a Digimon. If you've got a black source, you could delete a Tamer, and you've pretty much always can guarantee that you've got a red or a black source because your egg is black. Most of your Digimon underneath are red as well, so you can pretty much guarantee you can choose either of those things. You can only delete 6 play cost worth of stuff, but a lot of Tamers are 3 cost, so you can delete possibly 2 Tamers. You could delete a Floodgate Rookie. If you want to delete one thing that is 6 play cost, then you can also do that as well. So really good pick in this current meta. Then also has the all turns effect of when an opponent's Digimon is deleted, unsuspend this Digimon. So if you smack into something and you delete it, you unsuspend. If you deleted something with its when Digivolving effect, you unsuspend. If you block something and they die, you unsuspend. It's not bad. Not bad at all. Then we've also got 3 copies of BlackWarGreymon X. We've got 3 copies of this because we've got the proto forms. We can actually, have some additional ways of gaining the effects on this. Has reboot. Digivolves for 2 on top of BlackWarGreymon, 5 on top of anything else, so he is pretty costly. Opponent's turn effect, he's got when your opponent's Digimon with the highest DP attack should be switch the target of attack to this Digimon, and then also has another opponent's turn effect of when a Digimon becomes suspended, if this Digimon has BlackWarGreymon or X antibody in its Digivolution cards, you may delete one of your opponent's Digimon with the lowest play cost. So if they've only got one thing, you will delete whatever that is because it is by default the lowest play cost. So not too bad at all. Can get really big. Obviously, if you've managed to give him blocker as well with your tie, does work really well. Like I say, you could also put the BT8 Greymon in here to make sure you've got another blocker inheritable to help this guy out. Very tempted to do that myself, actually. Yeah, great card. Last time we had an X antibody printed for BlackWarGreymon. If you're not counting EX4 Gaiomon, which actually can't Digivolve on top of a BlackWarGreymon for reduced cost. So, it doesn't really count, does it? I think BlackWarGreymon needs more love. I would love to see some more BlackWarGreymon cards in 2025. That would be awesome. Speaking of, we've got Gaiomon, a Digimon so cool that he ended up becoming his own Digimon instead of BlackWarGreymon X, and they get this, just did a palette swap for BlackWarGreymon X instead. But he's still great from BT9, Security Stat +1 and Reboot. When Digivolving, if you've got black underneath you, Digivolve 1. If you've got red, Blitz. Again, you can guarantee you've got both of those. He's just a nice aggressive option in this, and can certainly clinch you a game or two by having that kind of nice aggressive option. Then we've also got, for our level 7s, we've got 2 copies of the Ogumon Bond of Bravery Ace. Obviously, this can Digivolve on top of our Ogumons, specifically, not the X, if we've got low enough security, and that's including with the Blast Digivolve. But the great thing about him as well is if you've managed to block with your BlackWarGreymon X twice and they're still going for it, you could then blast into your Ogumon to hopefully delete whatever is coming your way, which is cool. Because his on play when Digivolving effect is delete up to this Digimon's DP's total worth of your opponent's Digimon. And also bearing in mind that you can give yourself DP boosts. Your BT17 Greymon can also be known as an Ogumon. So you can potentially Digivolve on top of that if your security is low enough, and use that extra DP boost to give you some more deletion, which is cool. Also has a when attacking effect. If you have a Tamer in play, regardless of colour, trash your opponent's top security stack. So security card rather. So really, really nice. Then going into our Tamers, we've got 3 copies of the BT12 tie. He is our in-archetype cool boy. Still probably the best Tamer in the archetype. Start of your main phase on play. You give one of your Ogumon or Greymon in name 1000 DP and gains blocker, and that's any of the Ogumon or Greymon in name. So that also includes your Ogumon X, and your Bond of Bravery, because they have Ogumon in their names, and all of your Greymons obviously, and it gives you that blocker and 1000 DP. Then your turn, when one of your Digimon Digivolves into a Digimon with Greymon or Omnimon in its name, by suspending this Tamer, gain 1 memory. So really, really good there as well. Then we've also got the Yuya. I went with this one because it does let you kind of wall up a bit more, as well as also giving you some DP boosts, but he will set you to 3. And essentially what you'll do is when one of your Digimon Digivolves into a Digimon with Greymon in its name, by suspending this Tamer, that Digimon gets 2000 DP, and then if you Digivolve into a same level Digimon, so say for example a Greymon going into a Greymon X, then you also gain the kind of an unaffected ability to option effects. So option effects cannot affect you, which is not too bad actually, can come up. Obviously it'd be better if it was, Digimon effects, really. But option effects, we take that. It's pretty good. Then going into our options, speaking of, we've got 1 copy of Crimson Blaze. Always my default pick in basically any red deck I've got. Deletes 6000 DP worth of, well, all of your opponent's Digimon with 6000 DP or less, sorry. Stops your opponent from playing Digimon by effect, and also you could reduce the cost of it depending on how wide your opponent's gone. So if you've gone wide enough, this card could potentially be free, which is really good. Then speaking of wide removal, we've also got Hades Force, can reduce the cost by 2 of this if you've got a X antibody under one of your Digimon, so it can potentially cost 5. Choose any number of your opponent's Digimon or Tamers whose combined play costs are less than or equal to the play cost of one of your Digimon with Greymon in its name, and delete all of their other chosen cards. Then one of your Digimon with Greymon in its name can attack a player. This was a menace in the BT12 format, BT11, BT12 format. I remember actually winning a game at regionals by using Hades Force, blew up their board, and then my Greymon was able to attack the game because it basically gives you a pseudo blitz. Still a great card. Obviously, it's more Tamer hate. Not bad at all. Then we've also got 2 copies of Scramble, Red Scramble. Like I said, you could change this up for Black Scramble if you just, you wanted to play around with your rookies a bit more. But essentially what you're going to do is one of your red Digimon may Digivolve into another red Digimon with the play cost reduced by 3, which obviously because you're having to play this out for 2, technically it's only a reduction of 1, but it can help. And then you've got the start of turn effect, which is one of the reasons those scrambles are so cool. If your opponent has a Digimon in play, you delay, return 1 red Digimon card from your trash to the top of the deck. And then if you don't have a Digimon, you may play 1 red Digimon card with 2000 DP or less from your trash without paying the cost. And that's where you can play the BT14 Ogumon, which you can then, with your time in play, start of main, goes up into a Greymon, and you can kind of build up your secondary stack from there. Also has a great security effect of you may play 1 red Digimon card with 2000 DP or less from your trash without paying the cost, then add this card to the hand. So not too bad at all. Then we've got Garnet Memory Boost at 3. Black also meets the colour requirements of this, so ignore the fact it's red. Black also helps it. Reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 red or black Digimon card among them to the hand, return the rest to the bottom of the deck, and place this card in the battle area. So because it lets you search almost all of your Digimon other than your BT17 Greymon, but obviously you've got other searches for that. Then obviously it also has a delay of gain 2 memory. So Garnet Memory Boost is really cool, and I remember when they first came out I was like, well, why aren't they just dual coloured? Well, now I know, because if they were dual coloured you would need both red and black to use them, whereas by having the rule text of it is also essentially counted as black, then just red or just black works for it, which is really nice. And then we've got 2 copies of Protoform. In BlackWarGreymon specifically, Protoform is better. If I was playing WarGreymon, so the red OTK WarGreymon, then I would probably play the BT9, but Protoform is better in BlackWarGreymon for me. If you don't have copies of it and you would like to build a BlackWarGreymon deck, then please use BT9. Don't break the bank on a Protoform. Wait until there's a reprint because it's so expensive to get right now. It's like a £40-50 card here in the UK. I was lucky enough to get these back when they were 10, and I've only got 2 of them, so I ain't getting a playset. But essentially what you do is you can use this if you've got a Digimon in play, ignore the colour requirements. You add it to your hand if it's hit in security, and allows you to Digivolve up into an X antibody Digimon, so long as your Digimon doesn't have X antibody underneath it already, for the reduced cost of 1, and then gives you the all turns effect of when this Digimon would leave the battle area, other than by one of your effects from this Digimon's Digivolution cards, return 1 Digimon card to the hand, and then place the Protoform on top of the security. So really good card. Probably why it's so expensive. But that is the deck. I hope you guys enjoyed that list. Let me know what other decks you would like to see. Obviously, we want to talk about some more EX8 decks specifically in the lead up to EX8. It's coming out next week, of course. And the first one of those will be Dinomon, which I'll be talking about on Friday. But until then, keep it digital.